Feeling great, right? Well, my students, as a reminder for you that next week will be the review that we will have a midterm test. So please prepare yourself for the midterm test by reviewing all the lessons that you have learned so far and having much practice at home. Keep spirit and good luck. Okay, before we start the class today, just like usual, let's do silent reading. Read your novel for 10 minutes, then complete the Google form on the link provided on it. Happy reading! Now let us start the class. Today we will learn from Unit 12, People and Their Jobs. Unit 12 will be discussing about suffixes for job titles, for the vocabulary, and verbs and prepositions followed by verb ing for the grammar point. You can find these topics in your course book page 94 up to 97. Well, here is our first activity. There were some people talking about their work. Please listen and guess their jobs.
Track 24.
1.
You have to like people doing the job I do, and you have to be very patient, because sometimes the traffic's quite heavy and it takes a long time to get from A to B. But you do meet some interesting people. In fact, you'll never guess who I had in the back of my cab the other day.
2. In my job, one of the most important things is to stay calm, because sometimes it's a matter of life and death. We give emergency first aid, and if necessary, we have to get people to hospital as quickly as possible. It's important to be decisive, to be able to make the right decision at the right time. 3.
My job is both an indoor and an outdoor job. I spend quite a lot of time in the office working on plans for buildings and bridges and so on, but I also spend a lot of time on site working with architects and builders. My job really suits me because it's about practical things, but you need technical skills.
4.
My job's quite tiring. I'm on my feet all day. You have to be patient, too. Most customers are really nice, but there are one or two who are just so difficult to please. They say, "This isn't what I ordered," when you know it was what they ordered. Or, "This is too salty," or "This is too spicy." But you have to remember, the customer is always right.
5.
I was always interested in more practical things at school, but I didn't want to go to university, so I got a job as a trainee in a garage. And now I've got my own business, and I've got quite a lot of regular customers whose cars I look after. I've always liked cars, and I've got quite a nice car of my own.
6. I work at the health centre, but I also do some work at the local football club because I specialised in sports injuries when I did my training. It's important to get people moving again after an injury or an operation, but you have to do it very slowly. You start with moving the arm or the leg very gently to begin with, and you give people exercises that they can do at home, which is all part of the process of healing and getting better.
Now let's check your answers. The first speaker is a taxi driver. Second is a paramedic. Third is an engineer. Fourth is a waitress. Fifth is a car mechanic. Sixth, the last, is a physiotherapist. Well, my students, as you see, all of them are job titles. As I mentioned before, today's class will be discussing about suffixes for job titles. Now let's go back to the answers. From the answers, you find some kinds of suffixes for job titles, such as ik, and ist. Now, let's learn more kinds of suffixes for job titles. Suffixes for job titles. You can find this topic in your coursebook page 95. By the way, have you known the meaning of a suffix? A suffix is a group of letters at the end of a job title. Here are some kinds of suffixes for job titles. First, suffix ist. The job titles for the suffix ist are 1. Dent. Dent is a noun. With the suffix ist becomes dentist. 2. Type. Type is a verb. With the suffix ist becomes typist. 3. Reception. It's an activity. With the suffix ist becomes receptionist. 4. The last is pharmacy. Pharmacy is a noun. With the suffix ist becomes pharmacist. Now let's have the second suffix in. These are the job titles for the suffix in. They are 1. Optic. Optic is a noun or an adjective. With the suffix in becomes optician. 2. Library. Library is a noun. With the suffix in becomes librarian. 3. The last is electric. Electric is a noun or an adjective. With the suffix in becomes electrician. Now let's have the third suffix. It is suffix ik. The job titles for the suffix ik are paramedic and car mechanic. The fourth is suffix ant. The examples are accountant, flight attendant, and shop assistant. The fifth suffix is suffix For examples, clean is a verb or an adjective. With the suffix becomes cleaner. Then drive. Drive is a verb. With the suffix becomes driver. Also, there are waiter, carpenter, manager, and many more. The last suffix is suffix or. The job titles for the suffix or are doctor, actor, sailor, and others. There are some job titles without any suffix. For examples, chef, nurse, engineer, traffic warden, and many more. Well, my students, that's all for the suffixes for job titles. Let's have the second topic, grammar point, verbs and prepositions followed by verb ing. Now let's learn about verbs and prepositions followed by verb ing or gerund. You can find this topic in your coursebook, page 97. There are 3 conditions to use verb ing or gerund. First, there are some verbs that must be followed by verb ing or gerund, not an infinitive for verb 1. The verbs are avoid, enjoy, feel like, finish, give up, keep, practice, risk, suggest, involve, mind, consider, postpone, and many more. Remember, for these verbs, they must be followed by verb ing, not an infinitive or verb 1. Let's see the examples of sentences that use the special verbs followed by verb ing or gerund. 1. You can't risk taking out equipment that doesn't work. Let's see. Risk is followed by taking as the gerund or verb ing. 2. I don't feel like working out. Feel like is followed by working as the gerund or verb ing. 3. He admitted cheating on the test. Admitted is followed by cheating as the gerund or verb ing. For the last, she considered moving to New York. Considered is followed by moving as the gerund or verb ing. So, the rule for the first condition is the special verb plus verb ing or gerund. The second condition is we use gerund or verb ing after prepositions, for example, of, by, before, as, without, and others. Here are the examples. 1. We always start by checking the equipment that doesn't work. After preposition by, there is checking as the verb ing or gerund. 2. He rushed out of the room without saying a word. After preposition without, there is saying as the gerund or verb ing. 3. Please switch off the lights before leaving the room. After prepositions before, there is leaving as the verb ing or gerund. So, the rule for the second condition is preposition followed by verb ing or gerund. The third or the last condition is there are some verbs that must be followed by an object first, then verb ing or gerund. The verbs are catch, discover, feel, hear, leave, notice, observe, see, spot, watch, find, spend, and others. The rule for this condition is verb plus object plus verb ing or gerund. These are some examples of sentences that use verbs followed by an object and verb ing or gerund. 1. The police found a man climbing the wall. After the word found, use see man as the object, followed by climbing as the verb ing or gerund. 2. She overheard them talking about the closure of the factory. After the word overheard, you see them as the object, followed by talking as the verb ing or gerund. 3. We all have to spend an hour in the gym doing fitness work. After the word spend, you find an hour in the gym as the object, doing as the verb ing or gerund. Now let's go to the conclusion of today's class. Today we have learned suffixes for job titles for vocabulary. There are 6 suffixes for job titles: suffix or, ik, in, ist, and the last one and. There are some job titles without any suffix, for example, chef, nurse, traffic warden, and others. Second, we also learned about verbs and preposition followed by verb ing or gerund for grammar point. There are 3 rules to use gerund or verb ing. First, there are some verbs that must be followed by verb ing or gerund, not verb 1 or infinitive verb. The verbs are avoid, enjoy, feel like, finish, give up, and others. Second, sometimes verb ing is used after prepositions. Third or the last one is some verbs are followed by an object first, and the last one is verb ing or gerund. The verbs are spend, see, watch, find, catch, and others. Well, my students, that's all for today's class. This is the end of today's class. Right after this, you can find the attachment of today's assignment on Edmodo. Do and submit it on times. Anytime you have questions, you can ask on comment column. Thank you for watching the video. Stay healthy and bye-bye.